Alright, I'm going to do a quick video that hopefully has audio on some of the common problems that come up in common patches that take place. And I'll just do a quick thing on my status and once again how to use my repository. And so I'm going to try to make this quick. I'm just going to go through some of the patches that I've done in the past and what the errors look like when you need to deal with them. So, if you get an error that says something like undefined reference to strcasecmp, which is provided by the strings header here. In fact, it has those notations, or that notation, undefined reference to any of those. You just do this. Put an include.strings up at the top of your file. I'm assuming you know how to make patches. If you get an error that says don't know how to define, can't determine your Indian type, whether it's big or little, add that type of code. Oh yeah, all of these. Okay, so I'll just name what the patch is for. So if you want to download the patch so you have these quick fixes sitting around, you can do that. So my repository is at GitHub. I'm Linux CPA. Look in the patches repository. This package is advanced comp archivers, but the strings are numerous. Only for my situation that's unique. Other people aren't going to have that. The reason why it's unique is I downloaded a nightly at just the right time period, just the right small moment in time where the strings header was being moved from one place to the other, and so I'm able to find. I'm just going to patch them anyway. I've already mentioned this anyway. Okay, if you get undefined reference to FDS bits, just change that, do a find and replace in whatever file you're dealing with, and replace the FDS underscore bits with bits. By the way, the last patch, this was lib_unrar in the archivers. This is httperf in benchmarks. So if you have an issue with FDS bits, you can use that as a sample, basically. You see how it kind of, you just got to erase the FDS underscore, basically, and you're good, but you want to get it out of the whole file. This patch was interesting. This is in Archivers Arc, and even though systime was included in the ArcDOS file, the ifdefs were excluding the header from being found, and it was looking for actually for time.h. And I'm not exactly. This patch probably could have been better. I probably could have done an ifdef for Haiku. Probably a lot of these I could have done an ifdef for Haiku. But I ended up at the end just putting systime header in there. So if you ever get to a point where it's like can't find no such file time.h, the time header is actually in the sys directory. Is another way to put that. This one was interesting because, and by the way, did I mention what this was? This was Archivers and Arc, that last one. This one happens to be Archivers Freeze, and Freeze ships with a Makefile that has an install routine that has hard links incorporated in the install routine. So you just need to change the -ln -f to -ln -sf, and you're done. And the way you'll know that error comes up is it'll say hard links not supported in the terminal while you're building that package. Did I mention how you would know? This will say undefined reference to FDS bits. This will say cannot determine Indian type, and this will say undefined reference to strcsecmp, which is right there. Define. That's the header you're going to be including, actually. Some packages want to assume that you have a user local directory. You can make a user local directory, but since no one else really is, it's not really a good idea for you to do it. Instead, what you want to do is, in this one, this is for Pkgsrc. This one's very unusual. It has every single header listed and completely pathed, instead of in a in brackets like those other ones were. So you're gonna have to go in here, and in some cases you're gonna have to go in and actually change the entire pathing. There isn't even a variable for it. That's just something that comes up. That's not really that's something to know, I guess. You know, if you have experience, of course, you already know that. Now this patch is representative, and this is for lib micro and benchmarks. And here's 4 libraries that will cause the build to fail: lpthread, lsocket, lnsl, and lm, which is the math library, a couple other Unix network libraries, and the pthread library. You don't need any of that stuff, but instead what you do need is library network. And so, by the way, when you're looking at patches, a minus means that the line goes away and it's replaced with the line with the plus. And patches are done by lines. So even if you remove a little dot somewhere, or a little LM up here, it replaces the whole line with the new contents. So now for package source, and if you're using Digers or my settings, which actually includes Digers, you may or may not have to even worry about this, because you could, if you wanted to, use the limited sed tool that package source has. It's limited to sed -e to replace those 4 things with one thing. And in fact, since I favor passive patching, I might go back and change my patch for lib micro just to be a permanent kind of thing. If they come out with a new one, but they have the same kind of Makefile, I don't have to make another patch. I'd rather have it permanently in a setting, but that's a whole other topic that I've discussed in other presentations if you're interested. This, again, this is FDS bits. Actually, it's good bits, so you don't need to worry about that. There are some X11 files that you'll see errors that looks remotely like they're trying to get some kind of username or password. This is the solution that I've used so far. I've got it out of the POSIX standards web page, and basically instead of having all this stuff, it'll say that there's too many parameters for the PW. So I've used PW equals get PWUID, parentheses, get EUID, parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. And so that works. At least the thing will build. I don't know if it's the exact perfect kind of thing, but X11 packages are full of these things. And so this is at least a start, but I'm happier with this because I didn't just simply obliterate the entire set of code like I had done before to get it to build. If you just delete all this stuff, it'll build, but I'd rather still have some password functionality, and the operating system does provide that, apparently. This is for actually library XT in the X11 category. I didn't mention this over here. This is lib micro. For XCB, there's a Sunlin issue, and since Sunlin isn't POSIX, we haven't included that. So now I probably could deal with this fairly easily, again, with package source by setting these things out, but I have made a patch. And basically what you want to do is you want to substitute out Sunlin for size of. And that's it. And this is the only line that really affects it, and the only file. It was a very small, elegant solution compared to the giant hack that I had before. Here's another X11. It's doing the same kind of thing, but same kind of solution worked. It's consistent use of code, PW equals get PUID, you know, all that stuff. Again, here's another package in their Makefile wanting to use hard links. This happens to be the editor called ed. It's not a big deal. Just change the ln to ln minus s, the ln minus sf to s, and you're good. Now that will not take care of hard links in tar files, but in every instance where I've had to remove hard links from the tar files, I've actually saved the source code as Pkgsrc would expect it to arrive, and I put it up in my Git repository inside the package folder. But I'll talk more about what to do with my repository, what I'm doing with this stuff. If you ever get to a point, this is for Heirloom lib common, basically the if defined isn't always going to work, but if you get errors that, and you look in a file and it looks like the code's pretty much trying to read the a directory or change directories or something like that, you can use the pwd.h header to deal with that, and that is also related to these get. The pwd header has the definition for the get password user ID. They're two different issues, but including that is a common solution if and when there's the compilation fails and you look at the code and has something to do with a username and password, or but this is definitely a code change that needs to be made. This password structure that has to actually be the code has to be changed. This you just include a header if it's having trouble. You know, if you look at the code and it looks like it's trying to change directories or read a directory, you just add that pwd.h and the functionality should arrive. The hell is this? Oh yeah, this is a case. This is Flex. It's in the development category. And what this is just an example of, you know, there's some packages that have been around for a while that report over to BOS. You may as well just try to see if you sub out every instance of the word BOS with Haiku, if it'll compile. Now, the one thing about Flex that I will say is I don't know if it needs to be patched. It'll build without patches. It'll build with Haiku ports patches. It'll build with a patch that changes the name BOS to Haiku. It'll do all three. I've had better results with the third, but you know, I can't really say with any authority. I'm not an authority on Flex to say, oh, you must do that. But I found better results with it. I'll just say that. This patch here is for a program called Anope. That's a chat program. And if you get errors that look like undefined reference to uint64 or uint16 or 8 with a T next to it, or just the int64 or something like that, you're just missing the header. It's the standard int header. So you just got to add include standard int.h, put in brackets, save it, and you're done. What the heck is this? Sometimes you'll get an error with the sig.io thing, and I've seen at times that, or it's got me some progress. I've never really had a success with this, so I don't have a patch for it. I've started to work on getting around the fact that sig.io isn't being used by putting an if-def sig.io at the top and an end-if at the bottom of the offending code. You may get a success out of it once I actually do have that, but this came from the mono mailing list, and the title is called Don't Rely on sig.io. This is the patch that someone provided. Basically, it was designed to stop a compiler failure because sig.io wasn't present. Last thing, if you're trying to build X11 packages and it says you don't have the P threads, and, you know, you've read before the P threads are built in. It's just that package config needs to have this file here that's 8 lines long. It's a text file. You put it in boot home package library package config. You just have all these contents here. The prefix equals boot home package, exec underscore prefix equals dollar prefix in the squiggly brackets, live directory equals boot home package library, get a space, name, pthread space stubs, 6 description, you don't need the number. Stubs missing for libc for standard p3 threads function, version 0.03, and libs : nothing. That'll handle it, and then you'll be able to build your stuff, package source or out of package source. Now about my repository, I'm updating it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to do the strings thing because I can and it's easy and it makes me feel like I'm actually making progress. And I've uploaded everything but one last... or did I just commit that? 21 minutes ago. I think I have one more to load up actually. And there's just a lot of them are just include strings. And again, that's because I was in a special circumstance. Now, if you want to use both mine and Diger's patches combined with package source, I'm seeing that I'm going to have a repeat performance of what I had before, which I was able to build a little over 4,800 packages. So, and I got just to the edge of where you're able to start building Cairo. I have X11 built, and I have Mesa, libraries, glue, and glut all built. So it's in a pretty good position for people that can do some of the more serious patching. They don't have to do all this, you know, grunge work to get them to the point where they can start working on things that people want. But if you use my repository and you use package source, and if you're able to bootstrap the package source, the first thing you want to do is you want to search in Google for Haiku package source and Google code and maybe the name Diger. Go to the wiki page and it'll say how to bootstrap package source and use his tools. So you want to download his with Git. You want to download his patches and his settings and put everything as he describes there. Then you want to go to my GitHub and because I have additional patches and I have additional settings, you're going to end up overwriting his make.conf because I got more stuff in there. He hasn't updated it yet. So some of my packages build because of the settings and nothing else. And then add my patches. And if my patches overwrite any of his, it's because I've updated them. Otherwise, I left all of his patches in place. I may have some of the categories, I've just added a few other patches in addition to his. Put my patches inside of the local patches directory, except for the patches that are in the replacement patches folder. What you have to do is place those into the packages themselves, and before you run the compile on those packages, it'll replace the existing package source patch. And you have to type bmake space make patch sum as one word, makepatchsum, and then once that's done, you'll be able to build the package with, you know, the patches from package source plus my replacement patch, plus if there's any patches in the local patches area. But you want to put my patches that aren't in replacement folders in the local patches directory. And then in addition to that, there's some replacement files and some replacement source code. For replacement files, you're going to replace the package source makefile. I'll show you what the package source makefile is that differentiates it from the actual source code makefile. So, for example, here is archivers, and I don't know if I've worked on anything recently. Oh, it's the work links somewhere else anyway. Let's go into Advanced Comp, and Advanced Comp has 3 patches. I think I added this. No, I didn't. It has 4 patches. So Advanced Comp has 4 patches. These are what am I talking about patches for? Sorry, tired. This is the Makefile. This is the Pkgsrc Makefile. Sometimes I'll have a replacement Makefile in a replacement files folder. I'll have a package list in a replacement files folder. Sometimes I'll have .plist files or something like that in a replacement files folder, but that would be in the work directory. And I'm assuming you're going to use Diger's settings or my settings and my make.com file and all the other files that are attached to it. That's also in the GitHub repository. So let's see, going to devel here, I'll tell you what this .package list is. You didn't get that far, did it? Lemon finish, so I'll look at that one. So in here, once the whole thing finishes, sometimes there's these package lists, and sometimes in certain cases, like the binary for the physical cassette tape drive that no one has doesn't build, so I didn't care, so I just didn't include that in the package. By the way, Haiku Porter doesn't have that either. And in a few cases, I actually have provided a binary because, like with math FFTW, if you don't have that .a file and you don't place it in the folder where the error occurs when it comes up, it just will not build. It will never build. At least I haven't been able to solve it. So that's my way. I took the .a file from a build from Haiku Porter. Replacement source comes from source code that was downloaded by Pkgsrc. I uploaded it, brought it into Linux, unzipped it, and zipped it back up without using hard links during the zip process. What you do with those is you put those into the dist files directory, which is in boot dist files, and replace the file that's there, because Mesa will fail, CD read write tools will fail, star will fail, and there's another package I think called Prophet that's a biology package that will also fail. So unless you use the source that I provide in that zip file, you won't be able to unzip it, and Pkgsrc won't be able to handle it unless it's in, has the name and the archiving format that it was designed to be in, and I preserved that. I just took out the hard links. So that's how to use my repository. So basically, you're going to start out, you're going to go to the Pkgsrc website, get their release. And by the way, I'm working on Pkgsrc 2014 quarter 3, and whenever I upload patches, I'll put a blank text file in there with just a number, which is the version number of the package. So you'll know if some patches fail in the future, and you look, oh well, those patches are for version, this other version. You can actually revert to the earlier version by changing the Pkgsrc Makefile if you wanted to. So let's look at this. Sometimes they're in different areas, but this, if when the next release comes out, it's felt 3.06 or whatever, you just change that to a 5 if I have patches for 3.05 or something like that. That should do it. As far as my status is concerned, I've now got through. I haven't lost any packages yet. Well, I reinstalled by hand Go Object Introspection in Python 27 because I just didn't want to dick around with it for hours. I'd already done it, and I'm not really able to make very good patches. I make something that builds. The Python 34 in my repository does well. You just have to replace that Makefile before the build starts, but after the configure stage. And you'll have a really good build except for zlib. But as far as my categories are concerned here, I'm all the way through. I finished getting all the packages back that I had installed before, or verifying that they've come back through the CAD section. I'm working on the chat section. Meanwhile, I'm just doing a dry run through the devel section, and as I find things that come up, I'm not being as aggressive with library network here. So for example, this is an example of a library network. And the reason why I was talking in terms of patches is because there really are two ways to handle these things, and one way is to use some of the package source settings. I've done videos on this before. I'm just going to get this BSF light to build, and I'm going to finish here, but I'm going to add L network. It is common. This is the non-patching way to do it, but the information isn't lost. My information is still here. There isn't a patch, and so you can build the technology to send this out, or you can patch if you want. I mean, it's up to you. And I'm probably going to even do some more. I'm going to convert some more of those to passive patches, so they're more permanent and not burdensome. So this is what BSF Lite. I'm in the chat category. Alright, so I'm liking that. It's been a while since I've added, well, man, yeah, actually, today I didn't update my settings here. I've done a couple things. I'm not sure exactly what. I don't think I did. No, that's the only thing I've actually added. With Zip-O-Matic, maybe. Okay, so this I'm going to have to make clean, but that's easy because now the way it's set up. And now if that method for injecting library network works, it'll just build. It won't have that get host by name error. If that doesn't work, there are other methods that can be employed. Of course, requires some effort actually looking at the code, which I'm not that arrogant. Now probably I'm getting tired, so probably tomorrow I'll probably upload my other changes. See how this one goes. And this is what I was talking about before, basically, and the less patching you have, the less interference there's going to be, less complication, less, it's just a matter of getting in the tool set to deal with some of these things. And there's so many of them. The patch list is just really literally growing. This isn't guaranteed to work. It all depends on, well, I guess it did. There it goes. So run wrap in the files install. It's going to be fine. Package will be there. Done. And those are actually source code. Let's go in the package link. This is chat. That's a nice, easy solution. And then when the next version comes out, I don't have to patch it. There's my package. I like that. All right, so I'm done. So if you want to have tools like that, so you can do less patching, you can build 4,800 packages, you can be ready to start building the things you want to build, like Cairo or Firefox. Start from that, not have to work your way to there, because it's a long, hard journey. You're going to want to use a combination of Digers and my patches. And you know what? I'm going to probably put up my older build of Python also, because it's a better build, and the other one was just, if you don't have a good build of Python, just go home. That's the way it is. So I'm going to put that up there. Let's see, language and go object introspection. Why not? I shouldn't have moved that. I should have copied it. Try again. File copy. No, file. those two, there was something wrong with the way Python 27 built in this setup. So I mostly had a good build, but I just didn't want to. I couldn't get patches for it basically, and so I don't want to deprive people just because they don't have Go object introspection or Python. It's not a big deal. Copy it home. So those two packages will be in my GitHub. I'm gonna have just a crazy mess up there compared to other people's, but hey, that's the way things are here. So put this over here. If it's the best solution, I'm gonna do it. That's just the way it is. So got those. Okay. So that's it for me now. I'm just gonna do my FTP thing and I'm done.